Obvious to anybody with a brain that Elon Musk is not a checker player. He is a chess player. Our job is to annihilate their competition. Incapable of getting the job done. They can't see what's going on. They think somehow everything is going to go back to the way it was. And so consequently, they make huge bad decisions. Everyone knows that Tesla just sold 100,000 Model 3s to Hertz, and that was a $4.2 billion sale a few days ago. Let's put that into perspective. General Motors has sold about 100,000 Bolts since 2016. That's ponderous. And by the way, some of you may not have heard that. That's 2016. That's 6 years. And they lost about $1 billion on that big deal because of the battery fires. But this is huge, huge. Not only for Tesla, but for the whole car industry. Tesla going into, we look at profits in car industries in like single digits. Insurance companies, They 30-40% profits. I mean, they're huge. And Tesla's going into that business. But I'll bet you right now, Tesla's got a bunch of people working on how they're going to go into the commercial and homeowners insurance. I guarantee you that Tesla is going to be rolling in dough that the other car companies couldn't even think of or will never think of. Now, a bunch of happens when you get into a reactive mode. And the two things that I need to talk to you a little bit about before I start talking is one, paradigm shifts. Now, Munro and Associates works with a lot of companies, and we don't help our companies catch up or get as good as their competition. Our job is to annihilate their competition. So we have a hat that we give out every once in a while, and sometimes we wear, and it says basically, concerning paradigms, shift happens with Munro. And we're into a paradigm shift, a big one, a huge one, the biggest one that may have been around since the Industrial Revolution. And what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of psychological issues that are going to pop up. And the big one is paradigm paralysis. So paradigm paralysis, if you really want to get into this, you can find a guy named Joel Barker's books. He is, without a question of a doubt, the expert on this sort of stuff. But I've seen it happen over and over and over again. When people with strongly held rules and regulations are confronted by a new situation, in this case the EV kind of world, they are physiologically incapable of getting the job done. They can't see what's going on. They think somehow everything is going to go back to the way it was. And so consequently, they make huge bad decisions. The other thing that you need to know about is that's at the top of the house. There's going to be something else that's happening, and that something else is the rise of the Luddites. I said that, quite frankly, this type of a change hasn't happened in a long time. The last time I believe it happened was the Industrial Revolution, when people suddenly found out that machines could take the place of somebody knitting a sweater in a cottage someplace in England. These machines were attacked by the locals because they saw them as some sort of a threat. At the end of the day, we see the same thing happen, or we've seen the same thing happen when you look at just people refusing to use computers and things like that in my era a long time ago. Those people, those Luddites, wound up basically at the side of the road wondering what happened. If you combine the two things, the paradigm paralysis that you're seeing with the auto industry currently, and you compare that, or you add that to the Luddite mentality, and then on top of everything else, you've got you've got the situation where you're thinking like a checker player, but the game is chess. This is where Elon Musk is going to capitalize, or is capitalizing right now, and I'm going to try and fill in the blanks because the news doesn't really tell you everything that's going on. So with that in mind, I'd like to tell you what everyone knows. Everyone knows that Tesla just sold 100,000 Model 3s to Hertz, and that was a $4.2 billion sale a few days ago. Let's put that into perspective. General Motors has sold about 100,000 Bolts since 2016. That's ponderous. And by the way, some of you may not have heard that. That's 2016. That's 6 years. And they lost about $1 billion on that big deal because of the battery fire. Why did Hertz buy Tesla? And why would they ever make a deal like that? So let's ask ourselves a few questions. One of them is, what's the 5 major expenses of owning a vehicle, regardless of whether you're Hertz or yourself? Car payments is the number 1. Number 2 is vehicle depreciation. The minute you drive it off the lot, it's worth less. Fuel or energy costs, insurance with personal injury protection, and maintenance of the vehicle. Those are the 5 big things. But guess what? When you buy a Model S, like we did, we bought it in March of 2021 for $45,000, and now it's selling for $53,000 to $58,000. If you bought a 2021 Chevy Bolt, it would have cost you $37,000, but now you can sell it for $23,000 to $26,000. That's how you see things depreciating. When we look at all of the different things that were on this list, like let's talk about fuel and energy costs. It's cheaper to to run an electric car on fuel. I'm going to talk about the insurance last, and then maintenance. Maintenance is next to zero. Now, I got a report from some jamokes, I don't know who they got paid by, but they're saying that there's a $500 increase in maintenance if you happen to have an electric vehicle. I don't know who paid these guys off, like I said, but that is totally incorrect. We have paid nothing on our electric vehicle, zero maintenance. I have no clue who these characters are, but they don't know anything about an electric vehicle. The last one is insurance and personal injury protection. That's going to be, I'm saving that right for the very end, because that is going to be the ultimate cash cow for Tesla. So let's talk a little bit more about this on this little event that happened with Hertz. It wasn't big news, but on yesterday, Hertz announced that they may be buying an additional 100,000 vehicles in response to the general public and Uber's responses. This is where checker players don't quite understand what's going on. This deal, 200,000 vehicles sold, is at a price that's unheard of. These aren't discounted. They're the real Model 3 prices. This means that Tesla is going to make a tremendous amount of money, but why would Hertz pay a thing? Because, as John McElroy said on Autoline Detroit, the Tesla deal with Hertz is a huge embarrassment for the traditional automakers. The paradigm is changing so significantly that the guys in marketing and sales for all the other OEMs are probably having a heart attack or at least wondering what the future is going to hold for them. So what are the strong points in this deal that aren't quite as obvious? Well, let's do the obvious ones first. Hertz is golden in the eyes of rental car companies now. I may even start using them. I stopped using Hertz a long time ago because, quite frankly, their service was terrible and on and on. And that's why they went bankrupt. When the cars get old, they're going to be selling those vehicles through Carvana. Now, what's good about that is that there's no more selling at a discount. So they usually buy at a discount and sell at a discount, and in between they try and make money. Well, Uber is the one area that they're going to make a huge amount of money. And actually, I think that Uber is going to be the biggest beneficiary of the deal. With 50,000 Model 3s, I believe they're going to be getting 100,000 Model 3s now of the Hertz fleet. They're going to be able to rent to Uber. Hertz is. They're going to be able to rent to Uber. The guys at Uber are going to get a cash flow as good as it can be. So what? I mean, really, what does that mean? It means that Uber can get more rides for its drivers because of the status associated in driving a clean, quiet, luxury Tesla. If Uber buys the cars, they'll need to pay significant taxes, and the drivers now become employees, which counters the whole philosophy behind their business model. But guess what? They aren't. So that means that they're going to put more money in their pocket and less taxes will be paid to everybody else. The drivers get a better deal on the cost of the maintenance, the fuel, and they get a kickback from Uber just because they're using Teslas. Now they don't have to pay for all the maintenance and all the other things that are going on with a conventional vehicle. What's the hidden advantages? Well, this proves that no Detroit 3 could consummate this kind of a deal. So the hidden problem here is that if if let's say one of the other car company or one of the other rental companies came along and said, hey, we want 100,000 vehicles, who could supply them? Nobody. And how long would it take? Forever. Hertz goes from a bankrupt write-off to the top of the heap, and that's because of Tesla. Tesla did that. By adding their name, they went to the moon in overnight. Consumers, this is another one that people don't quite get. The way to make sales is to get bums on seats. You have to get somebody in the car to try it out, to make it so that you can feel comfortable with it. And now, consumers get to drive Teslas with no buyer's remorse and no risk. They get in, they can drive it around, they can try it out. It's the absolute best way to sell cars. And it used to be a big deal for all the other auto companies. In fact, most of the auto companies, Hertz used to be owned by Ford. But they gave it up because they couldn't see value. They couldn't see the profit in it right away. But it used to be that's how you got bums on seats. The bums on seats philosophy says that it's 50% of the sale if you can get them to sit in your car. But the one that I thought was the best, and we'll play the little clip, is Tom Brady. The Tom Brady play, I'm calling it. People buy cars based on heroes, and most people have heard of football, and Brady is big on saving the planet. He owns a Model S. What did Tom Brady say? I've been driving an EV for years, and knowing Hertz is leading the way with their electric fleet sparks how the world's changing toward environmental and socially conscious. That's a big deal. People care about what Tom Brady says. And here's the deal. Perception's reality. If Tom Brady's driving one, then I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a tremendous number of people that are going to want to buy their vehicle.